and welcome back to the portal, a unique initiative by Unext Learning Private Limited to bring state-of-the-art topical areas of concern for each and every one of us. Today, I have the privilege of having Mr. Ranjit Jose as our guest, an accomplished HR professional with over 20 years of experience, currently Vice President and Head of HR for Diageo Business Services. Prior to Diageo, he's been working with marquee names like GSK, and his primary interests have been in the area of talent transformation, talent acquisition, and so on. He started his career with Accenture and Britannia, and in between, he also had a stint as an entrepreneur. For 5 years, he's been an entrepreneur in the space of talent management. Even more interesting, he's an avid biker and, something that I didn't know, a certified diver. Today, we're going to be talking about coaching, what it is not, and how each one of us can benefit from it. But before I do that, sir, I'm going to literally dive into what a certified diver is. So what is it, and how does one become a certified diver?
Mr. Bhaskaran, thank you so much for having me here. And I think, diving as a passion, and if you're passionate about a very different world out there, there are multiple organizations that certify you as a diver. And this is primarily, there are two organizations, PADI and SSI, which give you a very formulated course into diving. And there are different levels again, like it's very akin to coaching, different credentialing levels. And it depends on the depth that you go to. It's a beautiful world out there, no traffic, very serene, so whenever you feel like switching off, whenever you feel like getting a different perspective, I think, under the seas are a beautiful world.
I've done scuba diving just once, but of course under supervision, if you will. Well, I didn't even know that the certification. Thank you very much for this. Now this is going to be my next ambition, so to say.
Something to pursue.
Something to pursue. All right. Okay. So let's get back to the world of coaching, right? And something that has been troubling me, and something that has been concerning, and more questioning. Look, we have the world's greatest sports people. Right, Sachin Tendulkars of the world, or you name the field, they're the world's best. And yet we constantly hear of the fact that they have a coach. Now, I'm already world number one. How can a coach benefit me? Is he better than me? How does that work?
I think it's a wonderful question. And the reason I'm saying it's a great question is because it brings about something which we talk about in a day-to-day life, a day-to-day context, very pertinent to the common man's understanding, and then suddenly switch it to a context of coaching. I think it's a great example, right? So I'll take one step back. Coaching is about a mindset. The coaching mindset believes in a couple of things. One is the coaching mindset coaching believes in unlocking potential.
Fair.
Right? So the underlying factor is that you bring a lot of potential. There is unearthed potential still inside you. And how do you bring that out? That's the first mindset, that's the first principle at which we work. The second one is about continuous improvement. Right? So when you look at both this and put anybody into it, be it a Virat Kohli or be it a Nadal or anybody into it, and if you're saying I'm world number one already, being the best and being there normally does not suffice. It's always about getting better. It's always about continuous improvement. So the coach is your strategic partner in unlocking that mindset, unlocking that potential.
But he's not as good as me.
It's fine.
So how does he help me?
He show you?
I expect my teacher to be better than me.
So a coach is not a teacher.
A
coach is not a teacher. A coach is somebody who shows you the mirror, somebody who partners with you by engaging powerful questions, and bringing out the solutions and potential that is already in you. He is somebody who channelizes that from within to manifest outside.
So he's not necessarily teaching me something new.
No. He's unlocking what is there within you.
So you use this term powerful question. I've heard this often spoken in the context of coaching. What is the meaning of that term, powerful question? Why not just question?
A question can elicit multiple answers. And a seasoned and experienced coach will always ask you questions that unearth a lot of things which normal questions don't. Simple can I ask you an open-ended question versus a closed question?
Fair. Yeah.
Am I actively listening to you? Do I put myself in your shoes to understand what you're going through, and then, ask that question so that, your answer comes out in a way that gives you an insight?
Okay.
Am I able to trigger insight? And I think those are the techniques of powerful questioning.
So coming back to this cricketing analogy. So if I were a coach to Virat Kohli, right?
Yeah.
I mean, already I hold him in awe. This guy's number one.
Yes.
Give me an example of a question I would ask him from a sporting context.
From a sporting context,
Yeah.
okay.
If I want to make him a better batsman.
Sure.
Right?
So one is, again, moving away from the mindset, saying, is it the functional competence or the expertise of Virat that is holding him back?
Okay.
Or is he facing a mental pressure problem or a toughness problem? Are you able to unlock that? Does he have the pressures of captaincy on him?
Fair.
It's everything else. No, it's not focused on the functional or the competence.
So it's not about his batting, but everything around
absolutely. Is there a element of team leadership that is bogging him down?
that? Okay.
So the approach becomes very multidimensional, and that's why the coach's role is not of a functional expert. It's also of a functional expert, but is that the paramount necessity of a coach? No.
So while we are using a name as an example, this is true for anybody who's already world number one, right? It could be in the world of business.
Yes,
in the world
absolutely.
Of,
and more pertinently, so if you look at, let's say, a CXO or a CEO, or for that matter, a top-class sportsman, the strategies that need to be evolved to keep them there are even more difficult to formulate. Right?
Yeah.
So a CEO is already under the pressure of performance.
Correct.
He's under the performance, he's under the pressure of shareholders,
Yes.
board, investors, managing the team, running the company, plus functionally being able to do his job. So who does he have as a mirror or as a partner that he can talk to, right? So you need someone who's not invested, who does not have a vested interest in your development,
Correct.
but has the openness and the trust to kind of have that engaging conversation with you. Building that strategic partnership. That is where the role of the coach becomes more and more important.
Is there a formal definition to the term coaching?
Yes. Coaching is a strategic partnership which unlocks potential. And when you look at unlocking potential in strategic partnership, the minute you say strategic partnership, it is two-way, right? So unless I am prepared to be coached, unless I am prepared to go that 50%, 60% of that distance, no amount of coaching will help. So that's one. Second, unlocking potential.
Okay.
So when you say unlocking, it means that there is a journey to it.
Okay.
Right? And the coach takes accountability to set goals, but you have the accountability to follow up and to do them and to act on what is being set. So it's a partnership, and you need to set dedicated time. It's a very formal partnership, and you need to dedicate time for it.
So is it possible for me, for example, to so yes, I enter into a coaching relationship with you, but my heart and mind is not in it, then it could fail?
Yes. So one of the first things that we establish when we get into a coaching relationship is to understand the readiness of the one being coached or the coachee.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
It's not necessary that all coaching is successful, but more often than not, the coach in the first instance would kind of understand where the mindset of the CXO or the leader being coached is.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's an open, transparent conversation.
But it is possible that the relationship does not always work.
Absolutely, and it could be multiple reasons, right? It could be the compatibility of the coach and the coachee.
Correct.
It could be readiness, for that matter. It could be simply the context, and it could be a very different pressure context in the business that you are not willing to invest that kind of time. So there could be multiple parameters. But in my experience, it has always been the success stories are higher than what's not worked.
Absolutely. So you keep referring to the CXO as a bracket that perhaps will benefit from coaching, but is that true across the full life cycle of an employee? Would anybody potentially benefit?
Yes. So not only employees. Now that you bring in CXO and employee, I think anybody can benefit from coaching. But I'll take the employee first.
Yeah.
So while the CXO population is usually the recipient of coaching, because there is an investment that organizations do in their development. In initial stages of your career, a coach can greatly kind of influence the way you think, influence the way your potential can develop into multiple areas. What kind of careers will suit you? What kind of career switches will suit you? It's very cleanly established there. In a mid-career sort of journey, coaches can help you with plateauing of careers. That's where you experience a sudden career plateau. What do you do then? How do you handle that kind of pressure? Coaches can work with you in terms of integrating work and life. Where do you draw the line? How much of work do you carry back home? Is there something called work-life balance? These are questions that mid-career professionals come into. So every stage there is a very clear benefit that coaches can bring in. Leave alone professionals. Can you coach your spouse? Can you coach your children? Absolutely. Coaching as a framework, like I said, it's a fundamental belief that it's a conversation. It's a powerful conversation. There is potential. There is partnership. And it can unlock a lot of things. It can unlock in great
I agree with you 99.9%. The moment you said spouse, I'm backing off. But otherwise, I'm with you.
That is a dangerous space to go into.
but I've also heard, for example, that you should not coach people that you're closely connected to, because you yourself would be biased. Is that a fact?
That is a fact. So, but it doesn't mean that you don't use techniques of coaching. You may not enter into a formal coaching relationship.
Fair enough.
But you use the techniques of coaching in the household. I think nothing.
I agree. So when you're talking about coaching people at different stages in their career, would functional coaching also come into play? Because initially we said perhaps it's not so relevant, but for a junior person who's just 2, 3, 5 years into the career, does functional coaching really play a role?
Yes and no. See, it again depends on the kind of time that you're willing to spend, right? So if you look at organizations today, a lot of them are moving away from what you call a formal performance rating. Right? They're doing continuous performance appraisals, right? So when you do that, do managers or are managers equipped to readily or continuously coach people? Does it apply, or does it stick to the same principles of leadership or executive coaching? Maybe not. Coaching technically does not provide solutions. They ask you, like I said, powerful questions. It builds insights. It gets the answers out of you. But do I have the time to do that with junior professionals? Maybe not. So then there is this style where a little bit of mentoring also comes into the picture. Then it becomes a mixed approach, wherein you are coaching. There is a mindset of a coach, but then you are not elongating the process. You are not investing that kind of time where 6 months or a year is spent with a particular person. It's very functional. The person is able to look up to you as a functional expert. So you organizations nowadays are blending both mentoring and coaching to bring it down to the ground to make it more effective.
Fair. So mentoring in your, when you say mentoring, it is about a little bit becoming more functional in nature.
Yes, mentoring is more functional. It's about career guidance. The relationship is very informal. Coaching, it's a very formal relationship. It's based on goals. It's very timely. It's very time driven. And you contract certain things. But mentoring is more organic.
So this is a lovely segue into my next question. Are there different kinds of coaching objectives, types of coaching, right? I mean, we spoke about functional coaching, perhaps there is leadership coaching, but are there some other things, some other kinds of coaching? How do I know what to choose?
Okay, so there are, I think your question has two answers to it. One is what kind of coaching is right for me, and I will preempt what kind of coach is right for me.
Right?
So there is a coaching method.
Absolutely.
Or what kind of
that
coaching.
would have been my next question. But okay, go ahead.
So I think the first part is, like I said, what's prevalent and how it started out is obviously when you have sports coaching. Sports coaching becomes functional, becomes about formulating strategies, becomes about mental toughness, ability to stay there at a high performance level. It becomes there. A more generic way of coaching could be life coaching, right? Wherein you're struggling with balancing the priorities of life. Work, family, health, finances. You need someone to continuously talk to you about all these things, right? So that's more generic. What we need to understand is, in any form of coaching, there's performance coaching, there's sales coaching, there's business coaching. So performance coaching could be very focused on goals, only on goals,
okay.
only on driving performance of yourself,
Self.
of your team. Sales coaching could bring in a very unique dimension of sales strategies, competitor strategy, and everything else. The fundamental belief of all this, you might delve into different methods or different types of coaching.
Correct.
The fundamental belief is still the same: unlocking potential. Partnership, powerful questioning. That fundamental remain the same. Everything else is, pertinent to your life stage, pertinent to your need.
Correct.
Now moving to the second part, how do you identify a coach? It's in a lot of organizations, they go for credentials, they go for certification and things like that, and there most of the organizations take the heavy lifting of identifying the coach for you. They kind of take your profile as a CXO, they see who's compatible and things like that. But if you were to identify a coach yourself, credentials is definitely one main thing. What a certification gives you is gives you a threshold of saying the person understands coaching.
Correct.
You may not need a coach, you may need a counselor. How do you differentiate that? Right? But a coach will come and tell you, if in a coaching conversation, if I feel that your problems are more towards counseling, I wouldn't involve myself. I would say, look, you need to get to a counselor. So somebody who understands coaching is what the certification or the credentials give you. Second, it could be what sort of goals are you looking at, right? And do you have the expertise, or do you see someone with the expertise of helped other people, who have helped other people achieve those goals? That could be the second option. You could do a session, icebreaker session with the coach to say, how will you help me achieve these goals? What's your model like? What's your fees like? There could be a lot of barriers in this whole thing. And it's not necessary that somebody who you meet the first time or you engage with the first time works for you. So you might have to do some trial and error. I think credentials, goals, the compatibility from people to people, and the relationship you obviously go on to build. And I think some of these.
Is it important for me and the coach to not know each other?
No. There is no direct correlation. The coach will get to know you as the coaching cycle starts.
So would I pick somebody within the organization as my coach?
If you're comfortable. If you're comfortable and the person is comfortable, why not? Why not? It's a contract. So
but would an element of bias not creep in?
That's why I said it depends on the maturity of the person, because it's a contract. It's a safe space. So are you and your colleague able to establish that safe space? Then please go ahead. I think even better, because the person understands the organizational context, is able to ask you insightful questions.
Correct.
In relation to the organization. Absolutely. Why not?
So what you're saying is, obviously the credentials of the coach matters, but it's also about the trust that you have in the person. And if you do trust an internal colleague that can help you, it's okay. It's absolutely fine to do this. So we keep coming back to these conversations and how quote unquote smart must the coaching objectives be? Should they, can I discuss anything in the world with my coach, or upfront we decide, hey, at the end of the coaching conversations, these are the 2, 3, 4 things that I would like to achieve. Is that kind of the way it works?
Very much. So when you look at the different models that you use in coaching, one of them very clearly is to set goals. One is so there is a GROW model. In the GROW model, you set goals, you take stock of reality. Where are you in comparison to your goal?
So G is goal.
G is goal. R is reality. O is objectives. And W is the willingness to get there. What do you do to get there? So very clearly you establish each of these things, and this is just one model. Okay. So there is a timeline. The goals have to be smart, the goals have to be achievable, all of those things. Right? So and usually a coaching conversation lasts anywhere between 3 to 6 months. The more senior you are, a little longer it takes. And there is a lot of time to introspect. There is a lot of time to go back and achieve or take accountable steps to reach your goal.
So it's not a set of meetings every day.
It's not set of meetings. It's one meeting probably once in a month. It's a 90-minute conversation once in a month. But in that 90-minute conversation, you agree what you are going to discuss in the next 90 minutes. And what will you do in those 30 days.
If I wanted to become a coach, right? You keep mentioning being certified helps, right? What does it take for me to become a coach?
This is a question, like if you ask me, how do I get to be a doctor, right? So there is a formal education, but then you have so many doctors who are just probably MBBS and not specialists, but then you have people thronging to them, right? So certification helps, because this is still, if I'm not wrong, there are still under 1 lakh accredited coaches in the world. And the community, the business community is large, so there is a lot of potential there. So there'll always be a need to kind of formally kind of stick to some sort of credentials. So one is to obviously get to train,
Yeah.
do a training program, certify yourself as a coach. Then there is the question of accreditation.
Okay.
And anybody in coaching will tell you, ICF, probably the International Coaching Federation, is the largest and the most well-known bodies, but there are other bodies that accredit you.
Okay.
There is something called EMCC, which is the European Mentoring and Coaching Council. There is something else called the International Association for Coaching, which is a US-based organization.
So sitting in India, I can get accredited.
Yes,
to this.
yes,
Okay.
yes. It's number of hours, proof that you've coached,
Okay.
and it's all tier-based credentialing that they do.
Okay.
While that is recommended, do you absolutely need to do it? No, not really. Not really. You can hone your skills through experience, and if you have a large enough clientele, why not?
Okay.
Yeah.
So let me ask you the contra question. When should I not try to become a coach? What in me can prevent me from becoming a coach?
So rather than taking that head on, I
Yeah.
think I'll call out maybe 3 or 4 qualities that a coach should have.
Okay.
And then if you
I
feel
don't have
and if you feel that no, look, I've had problems with this.
Yes. Okay. Fair. Okay.
And normally overcoming that is easy. I think the first and foremost is active listening. Coaches have to listen, and there will be a lot of times when there are uncomfortable silences. You will ask a question, the person might answer, you might just keep quiet.
That's a tough one.
It's a tough one.
It's a tough one.
And in that silence, there could be a lot of insight that the coachee is getting.
Yes.
Right? So I think active listening, being able to deal with silences, is one thing that a coach should have. The second one, I told you, powerful questioning.
Yes.
Having context of, let's say, if it's a CXO, that industry, or having context, a little functional context. Being able to relate to the problem.
Correct.
Being able to paraphrase, being able to ask those pointed questions or open-ended questions that elucidate certain answers. Powerful questioning. Third one, ability to set goals and be accountable for it. Right?
The coach is also accountable for the goal.
Absolutely.
Oh.
Absolutely. The coach is accountable.
I mean, you didn't do your work. I mean, how am I accountable?
Am I not able to get you to do that? It's a partnership.
Yeah. Okay.
There's a partnership.
Okay.
So I'm accountable to set your goals in partnership working. You are accountable, but obviously I am the one holding you accountable.
Correct. Okay.
So to create that accountability in your coachee is one of the coach's greatest duties.
Yeah.
And obviously the last but not the least is to create a very good rapport with the coach. So you need to be extremely strong in relationship.
Is that what you meant when you said empathy?
Empathy, more than empathy, I think it's relationship building, right? The person, like I said, creating a safe space.
Correct.
More often than not, what happens is a lot of coaching happens on nowadays on WhatsApp.
Correct. Oh.
I speak to you for 90 minutes, you speak to me for 90 minutes. I'm speaking to you next after a month.
Yeah.
What if I land into some space that I'm not able to navigate?
Correct.
I may not be able to talk to you, but you're regularly on WhatsApp, you're checking. So a lot of technology in terms of staying connected has also come into the coaching space, and that's why the relationship piece needs to be absolutely spot on. So these are the 4-5 basic competencies that a coach should have. And I think if you are equipped with most of them, some can be developed, but you will make a good coach.
One of the things engineers don't learn about is human psychology. Because you mentioned at some point that perhaps this is not a coaching issue at all, perhaps the person needs a counselor. I don't know the difference. How do I get that?
No, so as the one being coached, you're okay not knowing the difference.
Fair enough.
But as the one who's coaching, I need to know the difference. I need to know when it's getting into the psychiatry space.
The clinical space.
Yes, the clinical space or the counseling space. And that's what the training or the accreditation or the certification kind of gets me to.
So the first part that you mentioned about active listening, about powerful questioning is what I have to be.
Yes.
And this piece about understanding human psychology is what I need to know.
Yes.
Yeah, are there other areas that I need to know if I want to be a good coach? Do I need to know your function? Do I need to know your business? You are in Diageo. Do I need to know the beverage business to be a good coach?
Not really.
No.
Not really. No. Okay. You don't need to know the function. And that's why I said the coach will look at what you bring to the table.
Okay.
And the coach kind of looks at your insights. So the line of questioning can be the same for beverage alcohol, it can be the same for technology, it can be the same for everything.
Fair.
What gives you an added advantage is, can you add your own insights?
Yeah.
You know, that will only happen if you understand that area.
Okay. Yeah. The next one is a tough one.
All right.
Sometimes I feel that my manager needs this, right? And typically, I know for sure that somebody like me, my age, my experience, I don't understand technology enough the way the next generation, the generation after that does. Is there a concept of reverse mentoring or reverse coaching?
Reverse mentoring, yes. Reverse coaching, it's possible, but reverse coaching is something that we don't do because again, it requires a very different mindset.
So the level of maturity may
absolutely.
But reverse mentoring, you're saying is
reverse mentoring is very much doable, and a lot of organizations do it. And primarily where reverse mentoring happens is, let's say for example, you have a CXO.
Okay.
And today's CXOs, let's say he's a tenured CXO,
okay,
right? And you're looking at taking the company on social media platform, let's say TikTok or Instagram or anything else of that sort. 9 out of 10 times, the senior folk are not very well versed with today's social marketing techniques.
Yes.
So can you then have a media manager who's probably much younger to do this for the CXO?
Okay.
I'll give you another example. Today organizations are all about inclusion, diversity, right? So can you have a person with disability mentor your HR head on policies that are friendly for PWDs?
Oh, it's a great example. Yeah.
That's reverse mentoring. He could be junior, he could be a fresher, but he's a person with disability. He brings about a particular angle which I wouldn't understand.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah, you're right. You're right. I was actually talking to a person who was differently abled and almost paralyzed, but very, very active professionally. And she told us, you guys think I am disabled? Are you wearing specs? Aren't you disabled?
Very pertinent.
Very, completely blew me off, right? That's a beautiful example of reverse mentoring. It just didn't hit me. Yeah, in some way, yes.
Very true.
I'm also differently abled, right? So but there is a subtle nuance to this, right? I feel that my manager will benefit from this reverse mentoring.
Yeah.
How do I make it happen? I mean, I can't go and tell him, boss, you don't know what you're talking about. Please listen to me, right?
So again, navigating that point becomes very, very tricky because one, I think it can't be about the manager itself. It has to be more developmental. Can you twist it into a developmental story for your manager? Does it kind of is it investing in a particular area that he does not understand, or he is a little less competent? Can you put it that way?
Okay.
I think a lot of organizations have taken up reverse mentoring seriously.
Okay.
And CXOs, managers have greatly benefited in from reverse mentoring.
Okay.
And there is a similar structure that you can follow.
Yeah.
Touch points. But again, it's not as formal as coaching, and that's where when you bring in the word coaching and mentoring in the same context,
I agree.
You don't want to confuse the viewers saying it's not coaching, it's mentoring, it's organic, it's very informal. I show you how to do things.
Yes.
I take you along with me.
Yeah.
Coaching again is partnering. It's structured.
Fair.
You do most of the hard pulling. I'm there to kind of set those guardrails as a coach.
Correct. Okay. Fair enough. My last question.
Sure.
Can a person go through across their career coaching multiple times?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is that recommended? Is that good?
No, it all depends. See, so for example, like I said, right, if you are in a particular stage of your career and you've gone through, let's say, career coaching, you want to get a job, you're looking at your next career change.
Correct.
You could undergo coaching to do a proper interview. How do you present your CV? How do you present your resume? What do you highlight as performance in your career? That could be one kind of coaching. So at a mid-level, like I told you, you could get into more life coaching or dealing with plateaus, dealing with career plateaus.
Things like executive presence.
Absolutely.
And so on.
Bang on. Absolutely. So again, it depends on the type of coaching. And there are CEOs, CXOs who are perennially coached, because like I said, it's continuous improvement, right? So there is no stopping.
So at different points, you get different people to work with.
Different people to work with you, different aspects of your personality to get sharpened, to get developed. It's absolutely possible.
Sir, that was my last question. Anything that you think I missed out and that's important, both either as a coach or a coachee, for the people to understand? Anything that I missed out?
No, I think you've covered most of it. I think what we need to understand when you get into coaching or when you're looking at coaching as a profession is that it's a very serious job.
Yeah.
It's a very serious job because like I said, at the highest levels of performance, at the highest levels of the organization, there is a trust factor that the organization hands over to you.
Yes.
To develop and sharpen that individual.
Correct.
So it's a very serious job. You have to take it up with the utmost of sincerity and, like I said, the creating accountability to your coachee.
Correct.
And building that relationship becomes paramount. Absolutely. So it's not a game for everyone, but if you have it in you and you make a great coach, I think it's a fantastic career opportunity.
Absolutely.
And it's a great tool for leadership development, and taking talent to the next level.
So folks, there you have it, right? If you are a potential coachee, you know what to look out for from your coach, from the relationship, how you can benefit from it. Fact of the matter is, most of us need it at some stage or the other in our career. And if you think you need it, please reach out within your organization or outside and get the coach that can benefit you. If you are a potential coach, you now know what it takes to be that great coach that each one of us can be. There is certification, but the certification is just an entry into the game. To play the game, you need to bring many more competencies to the table as a coach. But when I hear him and the last statement he made, as a coach, you can truly make a difference to the career, to the life of the coachee that you're working with. So thank you so much. Was a pleasure talking to you. Was a pleasure. Obviously, you know the subject inside out. I am now going to chase this diver certification completely.
Thank you for having me. I enjoyed the conversation and I hope that this benefits a larger audience.
Absolutely.
And we take this to the next level. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.